Tracy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for joining me for my little coffee break today. Um,
Absolutely.
so I'm just wondering if you could quickly tell everyone a bit about who you are, what you do, where you are, life in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So my name is Tracy Shields. I wear many hats. I have a vitamin supplement company called Rescue, RES-Q.
Mhm.
I also am an artist and a writer. So I have produced a video series called American Uproot. You can find that at americanuproot.com. And I also write a personal blog on travel called volume100.com. And that's kind of like my little baby that my little place where I dream and especially now I turn to that blog to kind of get back in touch with my at least my imagination to travel.
Yeah. And that blog, I have to say, I spent some time the other day. I just got in a hole reading all of your posts. And then I thought, I need to contact Tracy. She needs to be on here because there was an entry that you had. And I don't remember what the title of the entry is. The one you were talking about being a travel addict during this time and what that was like. And if you'll let me just kind of geek out on your writing for a second, I'd
Yeah,
like to quote you um,
exciting.
so that everybody can hear this because it just made me like, oh my God, yes, this, people need to read this. And you say, so you were talking about when this whole thing hit and you had the orders to, lock down and travel plans were all canceled. Um, and later on in the post, you say, a few days later, exhausted, depressed, and probably a little dehydrated, I turned myself over to a higher power and surrendered to the idea that I am more than a collection of my vacation packages and that I will be okay despite the fact that somewhere out there hovering in the clouds is an unused airline ticket. And I read that and I just went, oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think for travelers, we're kind of suffering a little. I mean, I don't want to minimize the real suffering that's happening in the world. I think that there's a lot going on, and it has impacted all of us. I'm sure, everybody is dealing with it directly, or if not indirectly. But I guess that was kind of a light, jokey post. But yet a heartfelt one for people who travel, people who love to travel, that, this is one thing that's really hard. I mean, one of the things that we gain from travel is a sense of peace. We gain equilibrium. We are able to avoid, we're able to, just kind of like go into la la land for many of us. It's our way of, um, you know, taking a little bit of pain and suffering out of our lives. It's a little way to get a little bit of joy,
Yeah.
and that's taken away. So how do you, how do you cope? How do you cope? And one of the other kind of like volunteer work I do is I help women, battered women, in long-term relationships. They're called love addicts.
Mhm.
And it's an addiction blog that I run called girlrebuilt.com. And I'm always joking about, love addiction and how addiction, is essentially very dangerous.
Yeah.
But what happens when you're a travel addict and you can't get your hit, like, you
Yeah.
know, so that's basically what the blog is about, just
Yeah.
trying to deal with this moment.
The thing that I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about, because I felt this to a certain extent. Like I've had, a major trip also canceled in this time, as many of us have. There's a little bit of a collective sort of sense of like, I've lost part of my identity. If you are someone who really identifies with that is who
Yeah.
I am an explorer, I am a traveler, I get out and see the world and meet people. I'm just wondering if you can talk a bit about what how that sort of, if you experience that, and what kinds of things have you done to kind of get to a point, maybe with being a little more accepting that this is just where we are and what we're dealing with, or maybe you're still like, no, I hate every day. I don't know. You know.
I think it's a little bit of both, you know, like I think I have good days and bad days, like with any withdrawal, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, you just basically 2 steps forward, 1 step back, hopefully. um, but I think, you know, one of the things that I'm planning on doing is buying a house in Madrid. And I was poised to buy this house, and you know, like I identify with traveling to Madrid all the time, and I can't do that. And again, it is a huge part of my identity. It's a huge part of how I plan my day, my week, my month.
Yeah.
I can't do that, you know, like, so I have to I've had to reinvent who I am. I have to reinvent what makes me happy again, because again, this pandemic is hopefully showing us, you know, survival of the fittest, showing us that we either adapt or we don't. And I want to be one of those people that adapt. And so my travel now, you know, I have to talk myself down off the ledge, and I have to basically say, you know, it will come back. I just have to be patient. And in the meantime, I have to start seeing the beauty in other things. I started a garden, for example, you know, like I typically have a garden in the spring, but now I'm, you know, like garden woman.
You are a gardener.
Yeah, now I'm a gardener, you know, like, yeah.
Having a garden.
Right. I'm not just strolling through the gardens of the, you know, of Versailles. I am now, you know, like creating my own little Versailles. So yeah, I mean, again, you really do have to kind of like reinvent yourself, and you do have to, it's constantly talking. But I have to say, there's a part of me that revisits my old journals and my old blog entries, and I'm like, Portugal, you know, like, or Morocco.
Yeah. And I just want to acknowledge, I mean, for you, me, everyone out there, there's a huge sense of like, I think a lot of people are feeling guilty because they're sad about they can't go to Thailand. And I just think like that's okay. You've worked
Yeah,
hard,
yeah.
you saved your money, you were excited. Just because other people are in the hospital does not negate your sadness that you aren't taking that dream trip that you had booked.
Right.
I think that's
It
important.
it does seem, it seems horribly superficial, and but it's not, because again, travel is a vital part of so many people's lives. It's, you know, like it's habit forming, it's part of your identity, like you said. And you know, when you lose that, it can be devastating. The thing is, it's temporary, and that's what we have to keep saying to ourselves. And I think, you know, in the United States, I'm in New Jersey right now, there's a lot of people that are like, you're taking away our civil liberties, and you know, they're pitchforking and, you know, torches. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, it's temporary, you know, like this is not, we're not changing our democracy, we're just getting through a crisis. And that's kind of how we have to think, you know?
Yeah. So this too shall pass. We will get on the planes again and explore the world
Yes.
very soon, hopefully.
Right. It might be a little bit different. We might have to wear our masks, but look, true travelers, we can suck it up and handle it. We can sit next to the guy blowing his nose.
If there's anything that travelers are good at doing, it's adapting to new circumstances and new surroundings. So
Oh yeah,
we're gonna just be fine.
absolutely.
We'll leave it there for today, Tracy, but thank you so much for joining me. And
Yeah, thank you.
around here will be all of Tracy's links that she would like us all to go and check out. And please do read her blog posts because they're witty and clever and beautiful, and with beautiful pictures as well, I have to say. So go and check out the blog. And thank you for having coffee with me.
Thanks, Holly.